Hola amigos, this is Somveer and welcome to CodePipe. We are in the middle of designing and hosting e-commerce website course. In the last section, we have seen how to design a brief and how to design the UI UX of the website. Now we will see how to design the front end. So let's get started. So first of all, we need to download and install VS Code. I am using VS Code out of personal preference, but if you are familiar with any other editor, it will work for you. Then we will see how to initialize Django application. Then we will design our desktop view, and then we will design mobile responsive view. So front end design will consist all of this. In this video we will be installing VS Code, which will be a very minimal setup, and we can use that setup in mostly every Python script or other projects. First of all, let's download the VS Code. If we search for VS Code download, the first website will provide us the link to download it. Upon entering the website, we will see these options. We can download it for whatever version of Windows or Linux or Apple we are using. So we'll go for user install 64-bit for Windows. We will get to this page and the download will start automatically. Also on this page, we can have a look at some of the documentation about how to get started, what are the top extensions, and etc. This is the pop-up from our download, so we will save it on desktop for now. While this is downloading, if you are wondering why I am using only VS Code, why not other editors, I have made a video on this. You will find on the top right corner. Please have a look if you want to. As our setup file is downloaded, let's open this. Let's continue with the installation. Looks like I already have the folder, but I uninstalled the VS Code, so I will overwrite it. On this page, let's select all of this. These are menus for if we right click on a file, it will give us an option to open with code. So let's do next. Let's install this. Let's finish our installation and it will launch our VS Code. So this is the initial page which VS Code will show. Actually, I have reinstalled the VS Code, so I am able to see some of my previous settings and folders. But this side is initial for everyone. So let me tell you what all you can do when you are installing or initializing the VS Code for the first time. First of all, you can go for the color theme. There are different color themes. If we go for dark, if we want some other theme, we can go for it. Let me go for this only. Next thing to do is we need to install support for our language, which is here. So if we want to install support for Python, we can click here. If we want for JavaScript, we can click here. Python is already installed, so let me give you an example with Java. If I click on here, it is giving a pop-up saying the window will reload after installing the support. So we can install support like this. Next thing we need to do is we need to install extensions. There are two ways of getting the extensions. First is clicking on this button, so it will give us a panel of extensions, and the next will be if we go on file, preferences, extensions. So this will give us all the extensions from VS Code. We can install some important libraries or extensions like Python, Django support, HTML, CSS, completion, kite, etc. But if you want to explore them, you can try and install all the extensions you want. The next thing in VS Code is interpreter. So there are two ways of getting the interpreter. First one is if we go for terminal. The two ways of using interpreter or virtual environment in VS Code is we can use this CMD, which we can activate using this. So if we click here, we can get different options: PowerShell, command prompt, Git bash. I am familiar with command prompt, so I use command prompt. We can initialize and set up our virtual environment using CMD. Also, if we see here, we will see Python 3.9.1. So this is also a way to use the interpreter. So if I click on this, we will get different virtual environments in our system. So basically which is installed on our path. So we can use any one of this. So I will use this ecom one which we are using currently. Now whatever code we are running in our VS Code, it will run in this virtual environment. So these two are the ways in which we can set up the interpreter or virtual environment in VS Code. So summarizing what we need to do to initialize VS Code, we can change the color theme, we can install language support, we can install extensions, and we can use virtual environment for our Python scripts or any other language. This is very minimal setup, and I recommend you to explore VS Code and set it up according to your preference and like. So this is our Visual Studio Code. We saw this in the last video. Now I'm going to open a new folder where I will create the Django application and the virtual environment. So I will go to File, Open Folder. On my desktop, I have this Area 51 demo. So I will select this and I will open this. Next, I'll open a terminal. Here we can see we are into Area 51 demo. First of all, we need to create an virtual environment. For that, we will use Python -mvenv and our environment name. So let's call it demo. If you see at the Explorer, we can see the demo file here. So our virtual environment is created. Now we can open this using two things. We can either use interpreter or we can activate using this. So using CMD, we can go to demo scripts and use activate. But since we are using Visual Studio Code, let me show you how to use interpreter. So I will use Control Shift P and I will say select interpreter. Enter the path, find the path, and we can see we are into Area 51 demo scripts python.exe. We can see here our demo virtual environment is activated. To make it activated in the CMD also, I will use a small hack, that is, if I create a new terminal, the virtual environment is already activated. I will kill the previous one. So first of all, we will install Django. Now Django is installed. Now we can start creating our Django application. For that, if you are a real beginner and don't know much about Django, I will recommend you going through the Django documentation. In the browser, if we search for getting started with Django, we will get one link of djangoproject.com where it will show us the simple ways using which we can start using Django. So if you are a person who likes to go through a documentation, please have a look. Otherwise, I will guide you through the process. As our Django is installed, we can use Django admin start project and I will call it area 51 underscore demo. So Django admin is the command, start project is we are asking it to start a project, and area 51 demo is the name. Once this command is run, we can see we have area 51 demo, and if we open this, we can see we have one file with the same name and manage.py, and this file will contain our core application of Django like settings and WSGI. Most of the things we will be doing in this settings.py file. So as our Django project is started, we need to get into the project folder. So I will cd it. Now to run our Django application, we can use python manage.py run server. Now the server is running, but if we see here, we are getting one error which says we have unapplied migrations. It is good that we got this error. So I will use Ctrl C to quit the server and I will apply the migrations. For that we have to python manage.py migrate. It will make all the migrations. To apply these migrations, we need to use python manage.py make migrations. Okay, there are no changes detected, but to be sure, I will just run migrate once again. Okay, no migrations to apply. Now I will run the server and we are running it without any error. If we see this link and if we alt plus click, it will automatically open in a new tab on your default browser. So we can see this is working. So our Django application worked. Now our Django project is started. Now we need to see how many individual applications we need inside our Django project. For that, what we need to do is we need to create what all functions or what all models we will require. This is something we have to do at the very start. These are the applications that I think I will need. I will need users that will log in into the website and purchase items. I will need products that will contain all these things. I will need orders, which will be orders, wish list, cart, etc. And then I will need a seller application which will hold the seller information as well as the backend for seller. Now let's create these 4 applications. So in our editor, I will close our server and I will use python manage.py start app and I will say app users. I will strongly suggest not to use any regular names like user or any other name that might be present in the default Django application. So I'll use app users and we can see here our app users is made. We will create our next application. This time let me show you another way we can create application. So I can also use Django admin start app and this time we will be using product. So if I press enter, our product application is made. Then I will make order. After order I will make seller, and there is one more application we need to include, that is blog. So I will also include blog here. Now once we are done with the application creation, we need to put it into our settings.py. So I will go to area 51 demo I will go to settings.py. Here, if we scroll down, we will see installed apps. So here we need to include all the applications we made. So first one is app users, comma, next is order, next is product, next is seller, and finally we have blog. It is not necessary that we should always put them in order. We can put them anywhere. Now our task with applications is done. We have created them and we have put them in installed apps. Next thing to do is we need to initialize templates. For that, under the main folder, I will create a new folder which will be templates. Under templates, I will create a new file which will be base.html. Here, we will need to inform Django settings that we are using templates, and this template folder will available into each of the individual application, and you have to fetch it from their individual folders. How we will do that is we'll go to settings.py. If we scroll up, we will see base directory. First of all, we will import OS. After that, we will use template underscore dir or dirs. So we will use os.path.join base directory and templates. This template directory will ensure that we are also able to see templates from inside individual applications. We will create a template folder in a second. We will copy this template dir. We will scroll down. We are looking for templates, and in this dirs we can see there is a blank list, so we can put it here, save it, and we are done with this template thing. Now, as I have mentioned, we will need to create templates for each of the individual applications. Why we need to create individual folders is these Django applications are made in such a way that if we copy this into different Django applications, it should work on its own. So we are trying to include everything from that application into that folder. So I will make a new folder in each of the applications with the name templates, and inside this templates we will need to create a folder with the same name of application, that is app users, so that we are aware which template is placed in which folder. Once the template folder is created on all the applications, we are good to go. Now if we are using HTML files, we will be using CSS to style them. We will be using some static images and SVGs to render our HTML page. So we will need to create a static folder which will contain all of these images and SVGs and CSS. So let us create a static folder in the main folder. Just like templates, we need to inform our Django project that we are using static like this. So in our settings.py, if we scroll down, we will see here static files. So if you are new to Django, you can follow this link to understand it better, but this is quite simple. Static URL is already given. We need to provide static files directory. For that, we will use static files dirs is equal to, we will make a list which will say os.path.join base directory and static. Now this will work fine, but just a side note here, whenever we will put this into production, we will not use the same folder of static that is in our local folder. We will be hosting it somewhere like AWS or any other application. So we will say if debug, this will happen, and the else part we will see while we will put it in production. As soon as we put debug is equal to false, we mean that this project is into production and production settings will be applied. So that time we will not use this. So it's better to initiate it at the start. After this, we will see if our templates and static are working or not. So I will update the base.html. Here we will take advantage of the extensions we have installed. So I will use HTML and it will give us the option to use autofilling. So I will use this, and I have my HTML document ready. I will just take a h1 heading and put this is home page. Here we should always keep one thing in mind: our HTML file, our views.py file, and our urls.py file are interconnected. So if we want to make any substantial changes, we need to update all of them three. But be aware that these three files are interconnected. Our HTML file is ready. Now we need to render it using views.py file. Since this is a home page, I will want it to be in the main folder. So in the main area 51 demo folder, I will create a new file with the name views.py. In this file, we will use from django.shortcuts import render. I will create a simple function that will render the homepage HTML. So let me call it home, we need to give request. Here I will say return render. First of all, as per convention, we need to give request. Next we need to give template name, and this drop down is also helping us with the syntax. Now our base.html is in the main templates folder, so I will just use home.html. Now we will go to urls.py in the same folder, and here I will import views from .views import all. From .views means area 51 views. Dot means the parent folder and star means import everything. So our admin path is already given, so we will use new path which will be blank, indicating this will be home page, and we will use here home. Since we imported everything, we will not be using views.home, just home will do. If we run our server, if we go to the page, we are getting one error here. Home.html does not exist. So if we check again, go to our views.py, home.html in our main panel. Okay, so it is base.html. Save this, it is reloading. If we go to our browser, refresh this. Okay, we are getting this is home page. With this, we are sure that our Django application is running and our templates folder are also connected properly. This is Adobe XD, and if you remember from previous sections, first of all, we decided what colors we will need, what fonts we will need, and we have set up our mood board. Similarly, in our HTML page, we will first initiate our colors and fonts that we will use throughout the process. So this is our VS Code. We will set up the colors and fonts in our CSS files. CSS files are basically helper files which we can use to design our HTML page. So we will define the CSS files in our static folder. It is empty, so I will make a new folder, CSS. Inside this CSS, I will make a new file that will be base.css, and I will make one more file which will be fonts_css.css. What I'm going to do is, in base.css, I will put the colors, and in fonts.css, I will only put the fonts that we will be going to use. As there are many fonts, I wanted a separate file for them. First thing to do is, we need to initiate our railway for our complete HTML page. So we will go to Google Fonts. Inside Google Fonts, we will search for railway, and here it is. On this page, we can see there are a lot of variables that are present for railway. Let it be thin, italic, extra light, etc. So I will select regular, italic and bold, and I can change the font size in my HTML. So here I will take regular 400, and here we can see we got a pop-up that will be very useful. So let's keep it here. Then I will take regular 400 italic, and then I will take bold 700. So we can see we have 400, 400 italic and bold. Now we can directly use this in our HTML page, and it also provides CSS so that we can inform our CSS files that you have to use railway for our HTML page. So let's copy this, which is base.html. Inside our head tags, I will put fonts, and I will paste this. From our browser, I will copy this CSS styling, go to our base.css, and here I will make it body and font family this one. This is a way to inform that the complete body should have the font family of railway, and if this is not available, this will take default. This is how we can initiate railway as our font family. After this, we will make our color variables that will be defined into the root of HTML page so that they can be called upon anywhere on the HTML page. Let me show you how to do it. For that, we will use :root. Anything we will initiate inside this will be under the root of HTML. And to make any variable, we need to start it with double dash, and then we can write any name. So let me make it dark orange, and color we will take from Adobe XD. Here you can see we have these colors available with us that we want to use. So I can just put it here and see the color of this, which is this one. I will copy this. In our base.html, I will directly paste it. So here we have created one variable. Let me show you how we can use it in different classes or different CSS classes. Let's say we have an example class CSS. So I will directly use color, which is variable dark orange. Here we are trying to define colors in the root, and we want to use them across the CSS file and HTML page. and this also helps us in not repeating our code. So if we want to change dark orange to some other code, we can directly change it here and it will take place on the complete CSS file. So that is one added advantage of using variables and root. To save some time, let me skip over where I have defined all of the colors. Here we are. Now I have defined all the colors that we have used in our Adobe XD file. I have literally copy pasted all the codes and given variable names according to my convenience. Let me show you how we can set up our font CSS class so that we can use them directly in our base.html or any other HTML file. For that, we have to come into our Adobe XD. Like we did with the colors, we can give it any class name and we can take font size from here and font weight from here. In the fonts, this is the title in black, 48 and bold. For that, in our font CSS, I will write the class as title1 black. So I will remember it, okay, title1 means this, and I can use this class directly into our HTML. Here I will give font size as 48 pixel and font weight as bold. Let me quickly show you a demo of this. We will go to our base.html. First of all, we will link our CSS files to the page. So in our header, we will make it CSS files. Our CSS files are kept in static folder. We have already set up our static in settings.py, and on the HTML page, to use the static files, we need to use one Django template tag, which is curly brackets %%, and here we have to write load static. So using this, we can use static files that are placed in the static folder. So inside this CSS files, I will use link CSS. In the href section, I will use the template tagging from Django, which is curly brackets %%. Here we have to write static, and now we have to give the location of our static file. So it is under CSS and then base.css. I will copy the same thing, paste it again, and here I will use font_css.css. On this h1 tag, we will use the class that we have defined. So class, we will say title1 black. So if we run our server, python manage.py run server on our web browser, we can identify that this is not the default font style of our HTML page, and this is quite bigger. If we inspect the page, we can see on the right side that in the body we are getting the font family as railway, and in the root there are all the colors which we have defined. Hence we are successfully able to define the variables and the font for our page. Now in our fonts.css, this is just one class which we have defined. So let me skip forward where I have defined all the class from all the three colors. If we remember, we are going to use black color for our font, white color as well as orange color. So let me define all of it. Here we are after defining everything. So I have defined each and every font that we are going to use, starting from black, then we have white fonts, and at the last we have orange fonts. So this is how we can set up colors and different font styles for our HTML page. Now let's see how we can set up Bootstrap and icon library for our HTML page. First of all, for Bootstrap, we will go to our browser. We will search for Bootstrap, and the official site is getbootstrap.com. So we will click on this. We will go for get started. Here there are two sides of Bootstrap. First is CSS and second one is JS. So I will copy this CSS link, go to our base.html. You can put this anywhere in the head tag, but for simplicity I will put it near my CSS files. So I will paste it here. I will copy this script, and as per the documentation we can place it anywhere at the end of our body. So in base.html, at the bottom I will just say scripts and I will paste it here. Now we can use different components from Bootstrap to make our work easy. At the last, let us define the icon library. For that I will use font awesome. We can have different icons from here. Some icons are free and some icons are paid. So as per the convenience we can take. If we scroll down here, we can say we can start for free, and on this page if we scroll down, we can download them and use it in our static files. So I will download this. On this page at the top we will see a download link, using which we can download the zip file inside which all the files will be available to use Font Awesome on our website. and below that there is a little documentation like what's in the download, what all we are going to get, how we can use the web fonts with CSS, but I'll guide you through the process so it will be simple. If we click on this button, we will get to download this zip file. So if we save this and if we go to the folder, if we unzip this, we will get a folder with all the info. So we will need from CSS, I will take all.css, go to our scripts in the folder that is in static CSS, and here I will paste it, and also I will rename it to font awesome all.css so it will be easy for me to differentiate. And after this we will go to the main folder. We don't need JS, then we will need web fonts. We will copy this complete folder, go to our static and paste it here only, because by default the font awesome will look into static folder, so we will keep it here only. If we change the folder inside some other folder, we might get some error, so we must always keep web fonts in the static directory. Now the next step is to inform our main HTML page from where to take the font awesome CSS, just like we did with base.css. So let's see. Here just below the other CSS files I will use link CSS, and here I will again use static and I will inform it to go into CSS and take font awesome dash all.css, and we will save this. The setup for using font awesome icons is done. Now let's try to see a demo. On the website, if we search for any icon, let's say home, it will give us some options, and the grayed out ones we cannot use, but we can use these black ones. So I will click on this. On this page we can have all the information that is related to an icon. If we click, it will be copied. I will go to my HTML page. Now after this h1 tag, I will directly paste that iframe tag, and if we check our page, and here we can see this is already there. This is home page and we are also getting the icon. With this we have completed the setup of colors, fonts, and also bootstrap and icon library. Now let's get started with the proper HTML code. But before that, let me show you what we are going to do and how we will do it. Let's see our design in Adobe XD. So this is the design that we are trying to achieve, and basically we will be designing the home page. So what I'm going to do is I will be using this header or this navigation and the footer as a base template, because this will be available on every page. So not repeating myself, I will keep this as a base, and then I will make different pages like index and category page, etc. And in this video specifically we are going to focus on the header only. Now if we are familiar with HTML and CSS, each one of us has different procedure or different process how we design our HTML and what CSS we use. So I will not get into much detail about what specific you have to do about HTML, but rather the process. So some points that we have to keep in mind while designing the HTML and CSS are: first of all, our code should be clean. By clean I mean, if I am working on this project today and tomorrow I am handing over it to someone else, that person should be able to understand each and every line that you have written and each and every class HTML tag that you have used. Next thing is, never complicate the code. What I mean is, if we can do something with very little line of code, we should always use that approach. For example, we can use Bootstrap instead of designing for each and every row and column in our HTML page. And last one is, never repeat yourself. In the last video we saw we are initiating colors, fonts for our HTML page, so that if we get a need to change the color, we have to just change at one place. Therefore we will try to focus on these three things while we code the HTML page. This will completely be one section. Under the section I will have three divisions, one for the header row, one for the header logo, and one for the header navigation. And inside each one of that we will have different divisions, paragraph tags, etc. What I want you to take away from this is, always divide your page into subcategories or subcategories. Like this is header, one section, okay, this will have three categories that will have different subcategories, like that. As I have told you that we all have different process of designing our HTML page, therefore I will be trying something new of explaining the HTML page. What I'm going to do is I will already have this HTML on my page with the CSS. How it will help you is you will get an idea about how I did it and what concepts I have used, so that you will be able to do it yourself and using maybe better concept than me. So this is our HTML page. I will be using a section to contain all of the header inside it, so that I will get a clear understanding that this section is different and other section will be different. And we will be using three divisions inside this: header row, header logo, and navigation. We will directly see this on the browser with all the classes that I have used and what are the attributes I have used. It will be easy that way. This is a new way that I'm trying to make you explain about HTML and CSS, but if any case you are not able to understand anything and this is not a proper way, please let me know in the comment section, so that from the next video we will change our explanation. Hoping for a positive response from you all. Now one more thing that I want to show you is in our base.html I have used some other variables like header height, navigation height, header logo height. So these values will be taken from Adobe XD. Let's say we are looking for the variable of header height. In our Adobe XD, I'm calling this header. So if I click on this rectangle, I'm getting height as 40. So I'm using this as a variable. Why I'm using this is, for one, it will be very helpful when we will be making our mobile responsive view of this page, and second is we can use this height to align all of the text vertically at the center using the line height. This way you can take out many variables and you can use them in different ways. Like the same way I have taken the navigation height, header, logo height, etc. Now we can directly run our server as our Django project is already set up, and we will see how our web page is looking. So I will use python manage.py run server. Let's go to the browser. So here you can see I have used some CSS and HTML to get all of the things at place. We are not able to see some icons here because of the white background and white color. If I inspect this and we go to our body, we expand our section. Let me show you about header row. Inside that I have used a container. Inside container I have used a row. Inside that there are three separate columns using Bootstrap. First division will be for support email. Next division is for icons and number. Inside that I have again used a row. After that, at the last we have the drop down for account, and I'm using the simple drop down from Bootstrap. Next up we have header logo. So inside that again I'm using a container, then I'm again using a row, then again I'm using three columns. First one will have my logo, second one will have my search bar. In my search I have used a form. Forms will help me get to the next page. And at the last we have cart and wishlist icons. For that we have a row inside this. Let me show you a button, and you can see there iframe. So I have used this iframe from Font Awesome, and we have already seen how to use Font Awesome icons. So this will be easy. Let me change the color of this. Using this we can change. Let me make it black. So for this circle I have used absolute positioning so that I can place it anywhere I want. So that is one thing. Now coming to the navigation, again this is inside a container. Then I have used a row. At the first I have used this all category and I intend to make it a drop down. And next we have navigation. This is basically a unordered list, and we can style them as per our convenience. One thing to notice here is about the active class. So I have used one nav active class on this one, so that I will be able to see on which page we are currently on. So this is about the header section. Now let me quickly show you how we can put the background SVG. For that we will go to our Adobe XD. Here I will select this, find this in layers. So this is the one we are looking for. I will rename it to header background. Now I need to export it. Either I can use Ctrl E, that is the shortcut for export, or I can right click on this and I will say export selected. I want it as SVG. SVGs are always better because it will not deteriorate or it will not expand the pixels when we are resizing it. So I will keep it embed, and you can change the export part to wherever you want to save it. So I will change it to demo1. Here I will make a new folder which will say UI exports, select, and I will export it. If I check my folder, here if I go to UI exports, I can see we have our header background.svg, but we want this in our web page. So I will copy this, go to our area 51 demo. In static, I will make a new folder which will say backgrounds, and inside this I will paste this. Now let's go to our HTML page. Now inside this section on the top, I will make an image tag, and the source I will make it a static one. Static, our background is in backgrounds, so backgrounds slash name is header background.svg. Save it. Let's go to our web page. We can see that we have our svg, but this is not at the right place. Let me quickly show you how to do it. I will add a class to our image tag, and I will put some attributes that will use absolute positioning and z-index. Let me show you after putting the class so that I can explain. Okay, I have added the class. Now if we refresh, we can see that we are getting what we are looking for. So let me show you using inspect. In our image tag, if you see bg top class, and here we can see what all we have used. We have used the positioning as absolute. We are making it stick to the top left corner. We are using it for 100% width, and the main important thing is z-index. We try to make z-index of this particular section as the most negative value we can make or we can think of, because it will be the background, and upon this everything else will be placed, so we can give it a higher negative value. Now I'll do the same thing for the header splash. So I will export it from Adobe XD, and let me show you the final product. Once again I have added the header splash and the class related to it. If we refresh this, we are getting the header splash. Let me show you how I did it. If we see our section, I have added this at the bottom, or you can add this anywhere as we are using absolute positioning. So I am using a container so that it is sticking inside the container, and I have again used an image tag giving it the static path. And if we see the class, we can see again I am using the absolute. I am sticking it to the top. For the right, I am making it just a little bit outside of the container so that it is looking good. One thing to note here is the z-index. Notice how the z-index is -990, but for the background we have it -999. So this is also a way we can use layers. If we want it to the extreme backward, we can use the largest negative number. If we want it at the bottom, we can use a little less negative number. And with this, our header section is ready. For the sake of video, we have wrapped this up very early, but it will take a lot of time, so please be patient. Here we can see this part we have done already, the header part. If we look for the footer, this is our footer, and we are going to design this. So it is quite simple. We will have 4 columns and the background exported from Adobe XD. I am going to use the same method of explaining the HTML files, where I'll already put the HTML and CSS, and in the browser I will show you the way how I did it. This is our base.html, where we have already designed our header from the last video. I will collapse this, and this is our HTML for footer. It will be easy to have a look in the browser, but before that, let me put a small content between these two sections so that they are separated and we can see the difference easily. So I will use these lines. Basically I am using a section of height 100 VH. It will mean that this section will cover 100 VH, meaning we can easily separate header and footer. On our browser, we can see that this is the section which we have used as a placeholder, and if we scroll down, and here you can see this is our footer. I have used white color, so some of the things may not be visible properly, but let us inspect and see how it is done. So here is our section footer. If we expand this, we can see we have our container and we have our footer node, where we have used design by CodePipe. So if we expand our container, we can see we have a row, and inside row I have used bootstrap columns and divided the container into 4 columns, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and inside each of this I have used normal anchor tags and paragraph tags along with some styling to get what I wanted. And I hope this is quite easy to make. In the footer note, I have just used a division and under division a paragraph tag. So this is quite easy. In our Adobe XD, we want this background first. So I will click on it and I will use Ctrl plus E as a shortcut for export. I will want it in SVG because it is better. I will keep this the same. We have already provided a path in our Area 51 demo for all our exports. So I will export it there. Along with this, I will also export this small splash, Ctrl E and export. In our UI exports folder, I have this footer background and footer splash. I have obviously renamed them. I will copy both of them and paste it into our static folder, which is in Area 51 demo, static, and here I will put in backgrounds. Now in our HTML file, in the footer section, I will go to the bottom and just above the footer note, I will use one image tag. I will give the source as static and I will give the static path which is backgrounds slash footer background dot svg. I will save this. Let's go to our browser and refresh. If we scroll down, we can see we have our footer here, but our footer background is not in correct place. This is because we have not added the absolute positioning and we have not placed it into the correct position. So let me add the class. So I have added the class. Let's refresh this. We can see the footer is now in the correct position, but the width is not correct. Let's diagnose this. In our base.html, we can see that we have used our image tag in the division, and in the footer we are using everything in a container. So our image is also inside a container. Let's put it outside the container, save it. Let's refresh our browser and voila, our background is covering the total width. Let me show you the class I have added. If we inspect, if we check for the image tag, you can see I have added BG bottom, and in the BG bottom I have used the absolute positioning. Just a side note here, if we are using absolute positioning for any tag or any subdivision, we have to keep position as relative for the main division. Since we are not using it under any division, so we are okay with the position absolute. I'm sticking it to the bottom right. I'm using 100% width and I'm using the z index of -999. As we have discussed in the last video, we are keeping z index as low as possible so that it is always kept in the background. Now let's quickly add our footer splash also, and here we want that splash on our Area 51 logo, so I will keep that inside the container. So let me do it and come back. I have added the footer splash. Let me refresh, and here you can see our footer splash is here. Let me show you the class I have used for it. If we look into our footer section, we have used it inside the container, and here you can see the image tag. Here I have used footer splash. Again, I am using the position as absolute. I am keeping it at the bottom and I am keeping it slightly outside of the container, and I am using the z index of slightly less than the background. And as I was saying about the position absolute, if we see this is under the footer container division, so if we check this class, and here you can see I have given the position as relative. So if we want to make anything absolute, we have to make its parent division relative to the page. Providing some extra information, I have used font CSS that we have set up in the last video. I have used these icons from the Font Awesome that we already set up in the last video, and here I am using a simple form using HTML and Bootstrap. With this I can say our footer is complete, and we have also completed our header, so our base file is completed. Let me show you what we want to achieve. This is our UI design in Adobe XD. So we are basically trying to achieve this card. This card will have image, product info, and buttons to add to cart and to wish list. Let's get started. This is our base.html. Why we are calling it base is I want to keep this header and this footer in all of the pages that I want to design. I don't want to repeat myself, so I will make new HTML file by extending this. Let's try to understand what is extending. So I will go to my browser and I will try to search for Django template language. We will get the documentation of Django template language, Inside this page, we will see how we can use Django language in HTML files so that we don't have to repeat ourselves, and we can take advantage of different template tagging from Django. Although I will be explaining some of the things in our video, but it is always better to have documentation at hand. For example, if we look at this block, we can see it is extending base generic.html. So whatever the HTML page is present on base generic, it will be present on this page also, and whatever we add will be added to the generic page. So this is extends. Now block means we want to include this particular thing inside the generic HTML. It starts with block and the name of block, and it ends with end block. So here we have block title. We can give section or any title we want, and then we have block content, inside which all of our information can be added for that particular page. And same way we have our for loop and if loop. If we are using for, we are using end for. For every block we are using end, but for extend we don't have to use any end block or something. Now using this same technique, I will create one index.html page. In our templates, I will create a new file with the name index.html. Since index.html is generic and it will be the home page, I am keeping it in the main templates. But if I am making any page that is related to seller product, I can keep that in the particular templates folder. So let's say I want to make a template in product, so products, templates, and here under product folder I can make a new file, and let's say category page.html. What I want to explain from this is, for generic HTML pages we can keep it in the main templates folder, but if we are making it related or specific to the application, we can make it into the templates of that particular application. If we go back to our index.html, I will use template tagging from Django, which will say extends, and now I want to give the address of our base.html. Since it is in main template folder, I will just write base.html. But if I'm extending a application HTML page, so I will have to write products or product/base.html. Since base.html is in the main templates, I will just write base.html. Now to use blocks, we will go to base.html, and let me give you an example by using the title. So under this title, I will make a block title, and I have to end this block, so I will use end block. Now I can copy this, go to our index.html, and I can paste it here, and inside this I can simply write, let's say, home page. I will have to make one more change. So let's go to our view that is rendering this base.html, and I will make it index.html because we want always the home page to be displayed, not the base.html. So I have created it in the area 51 demo views. So here we are rendering the base.html. Now I will make it index.html, and this will do. We don't have to make any more changes. Our server is running, so let's check our browser. Before refreshing, we need to see that this is written as document here, and if we refresh, we can see it has changed to home page, which we intended. Now in our base.html, we will use some more blocks to insert data into our base.html. So under this placeholder section, I will make a new block that will be called block content, and I will end this block. I will copy this, paste it in index.html. I will be making an index.css page separately. So in our base.html, under our CSS files, I will make one more block which will say CSS files. So block CSS, and I will end this block, copy this, paste it in HTML. Let's paste it about title. Although we can place it anywhere because that block will contain every data and it will be transferred to base.html for rendering. So it doesn't matter, but just for a uniformity, I am placing it on the top. Here I can insert any CSS link. I have not made the index.css, so let's make it. Inside CSS, I will make a new file with the name index.css. Now we can start making our product card. I will again use the same technique where I have used the HTML and CS already, and I will explain you the process using which we can make it. So I will skip forward now. Here I have added the CSS and HTML into our index.html, that we will see in the browser. But let me tell you something about CSS. As we have declared variables in our base.css, I am using the same technique where I am declaring variables related to the card height and width, so that when I am making mobile responsive view, I will just have to make changes to these values and all the other things will be taken care of. So you can see here I have created a variable for product card height, product card width, and the product card image height. And these values we can take from Adobe XD. If we just look for the values, if we click on this rectangle, we can see the width is 260 and height is 372. And same way you can check for the width and height of image. So we can use these values in our colon root so that we can use it on the CSS and HTML page. Now on our browser, if we refresh, we can see that we are getting an error of invalid block tag, which is static. This is kind of intentional. I wanted to show you. Let me show you the meaning of this. In our index.html, I have mentioned that if we are using this extend, it will copy all the information on base.html and it will extend to accommodate this information. But a special case is for load static. We have to define load static on every page. Here I will put load static. Also, let's not forget to include our index.css on this page. If we refresh our browser, I just realized that I have to comment this section out because it is covering a lot of space. But if we scroll down, we can see we are able to see our product card, but we are not able to see the image. Let me show you why it is coming like this and how we can resolve this. And if we go on this image, we can see here that it is taking from static images and card1.jpg, and we have not put any images in our static. So let me do it. In our area 51 demo, inside static, I will make a new folder which will be images, and under this I have already copied images from my main folder. So let me paste it here. If you notice, I have already saved images for my cards, for my blog card, from my deals and etc. So it is always better to keep images. Let's refresh our browser once again. Now we can see our image is loaded, and if you notice, whenever I hover over this, I get these two buttons. These are basically divisions inside this image, and I have used icons from Font Awesome. We can easily manipulate our anchor tag hover option to get this done. Now let me take you through the process of this product card building. Here we have our main class as product card, and on the right side we can see we are using the height and width from the variables, and other things like background and box shadow, etc. we can use as per our convenience. Under this I have one section for image and another division for our text. I have used one anchor tag to hold our image so that we can click on the image to get to the product page. Now inside this image division, as you can notice, I have two separate things. One is the row where I have added these plus icons for cart and wishlist, and another division for this sale info. So this is basically informing us that this product is on sale. I have added this card add row, inside which I have both the icons for cart edition and wishlist edition, and I have used simply hover option on this image. Below this we have card sale info, and this is a simple division with the sale. And outside of this image division, I have my text info. Inside this division I have added an anchor tag with the product name, then I have used category and then the price. And from this CSS we can see that it needs a little bit of cleaning. So this is basically cleaning up the margin for paragraph tags. That should not be a big deal. Let me do it and skip forward. Here we are after removing the margin and making it clean. So under this division of product info, if we see, now the paragraphs don't have any extra margin. So this is how we can use HTML and CSS and some CSS attributes like hover option to make our product card good looking. Let me show you what we are going to achieve. In our UI design, on our index page, this is what we want to achieve. We want to have an image, and on that we want to put some SVG, and on that we want to put some text. So first of all, I'll export this component using Control E. I will export as SVG in my UI exports. I already have it, so I will replace it once more. I will also download this button splash. I'm exporting them because I will use them as my image tag in my HTML page. So I will export this also. Now we have our both SVG from UI design. So we can close this now. To make this offer carousel, there is very good feature from Bootstrap, which is carousel itself. Let me show you. If we search for Bootstrap, we can go to bootstrap.com, and here we can search for carousel. It will give us some suggestion. Let's go for the first one, and we can see it is a slideshow of images, which is exactly what we want, and we will look for something that will suit our need. And this is the best option for us. It has label and information which we can replace with our splashes, and we have the image. And if we scroll, we have the HTML of the carousel. Let me try to explain this. First one, we have indicators. So what are indicators? These three buttons can be considered our indicators, which is basically the image and the label information that is present on this. We have two buttons. One is previous control and one is next control. So basically this previous and next buttons we can control using these two options. So most of the time we will be dealing with the carousel inner, because we want to change how this image and what are the labels are there. We don't want to touch the functioning of this carousel, so I will just directly copy this HTML inside my index.html. Just where the content block is starting, I will make one container. Inside this container I will make a section so that our carousel can stay in a different section, and here I will paste the HTML copied from the Bootstrap. Now before checking it on the browser, I will change the image sources. So I will use static. I already have some images in my images slash, and I have the name as deal of the day.jpg. Let me add the images in other two items. Here I have added the image for the second item and the third item. Let's go to our browser and check, and here we can see we are getting the images along with the caption and the information. We can check, and it has all the three images. Now the size is too big, so let's check our UI design and check for the length and width. Here if we click on this, get the height is 541, and if we check for the border radiuses, which is 20, and it has a shadow of 555. So let's add this into our CSS. In our index.css, if we remember, we have created some variables which can be very helpful when we are creating mobile responsive design. So I will add another variable here, which will be hero image height, and I'll keep it as 541. Now I will create one class here with the name CRImage for carousel image, and I will keep height as hero image height. Also I will use one attribute which is object fit, and I will make it cover. This is basically our image attribute. So if we are decreasing the height of our hero, the image will shrink. We don't want the image to be shrinked with the size, we want it to cover. So this is object fit, and also we will keep a border radius of 20 pixel. Now let's copy this into our image tag in index.html. Along with other classes, I will paste it here. Let's check our browser. If we refresh, we can see the height is decreased, we have border radius, and the images are in proper shape. So we have achieved this. Now next thing is we want to add the splashes and the text. Let me show you how I am going to do it, and then I will add the classes and show you. If we look into our carousel inner class, basically each division for each image. Inside each division we have image and one more division that will hold the label and the information. I'm going to delete this complete division, and I will put two divisions here. One will hold the offer splash and another one will hold the button splash. Let me add it and show it to you. Here I have added the divisions. So one division is this, which will be hero offer splash, and another will be hero button splash. Inside this division I have one image which will hold the SVG of offer splash. Then I have another division which will hold the information about the offer, and in the button splash again I have the image tag which will hold the SVG, and another division which will hold the anchor tag. I have already edited the index.css. So this is how our offer section will look like once we have added those classes. If we inspect this, let's go for the offer splash first. We can see we are inside the carousel inner, carousel item, we have our image, and then we have our offer splash and button splash. Inside the offer splash we have image that will hold the SVG of the component we have exported from Adobe XD from our UI design, and we have one more division which will hold this information. So for our offer splash, we have used absolute positioning. Using absolute positioning means inside the division we can place it anywhere if we give the right coordinates. For that we have to keep the parent division relative and the child division as absolute. Then if we go for header offer, it will simply contain the text which will be offer and 30% off. And again we have used combination of relative positioning for the parent and absolute positioning for the child division. If we look for button splash, in this again we are using the absolute positioning. Inside this again we have the image which will hold the SVG and one more division that will hold the anchor tag. So this is how our CSS and HTML help us in creating a nice good looking hero section or the offer carousel. I have just added this in one of the images. Let me add this in other two images and show you. After adding the HTML to other two images, if we refresh and let's go to the next image, and here we can see we have the same splashes on this image also and also at the last image, and the image quality is also good since we have used object fit as cover. So this is how we can use UI design, HTML, CSS and Bootstrap to get a good looking carousel section or offer section. Now we will basically align everything on our index page. So let me show you what we are going to achieve. From our UI design, this is our index page and we can see we already have our offer section. Now we will want our different sections along with the SVGs or the background SVGs. Then we have for him, for her section, deal of the day and from the blog. Let me tell you what process I am going to follow so that if we miss any step, you can know what we will be doing. So each of them will be kept in different section. I will have a row for this, I will have a row for product cards, and I will use an image tag to hold this SVG which we are going to export now. So let's export this, Control E, we want SVG and we will export in our UI exports. In the same way I will export the background for this from your wishlist section. So let me show you how the HTML will look like for this section. In our index.html, from the last video we have a container. Inside that we have a section for our offer carousel. If we collapse this, just below this section I created one more section that will be recommended section, and inside that section first of all I have a row for recommended for you and an anchor tag so that I can use the see all button. After that I have used the image tag to hold my recommended splash SVG that we have exported. And next thing is quite interesting. Since we will be using same product card 4 times, so I will be using a for loop. Just like we use static, we can also use for in our templates. So let's say for I in ABCD. So this loop is basically iterating between each of the character. So if we want more than 4, we can use ABCDEFGH any kind of number we want. I only wanted 4, so I have used only 4 letters. And we have this product card which we have already designed. In our browser, this is what the section will look like. As of now this is little clumsy because it is interacting with the footer, but as soon as we add another sections it will be very clear. So we have this recommended heading and see all button, and you can see here the for loop is working properly. Now it is a time for a lesson. While we started designing our UI, we took the resolution as 1920 into 1080, but we should have taken 1366 resolution. Why? Because we can see here the SVG, the background SVG is going out of the screen, which should ideally be inside. So this is a lesson to learn. This also means that being a programmer or being a web developer, we have to think how something will look like after 4 or 5 steps into the development. I have learned this the hard way. Therefore, I am telling you to be careful while designing our website. Now I will use the same thing for the next section in our index page, which is from your wish list. Now I have added the wish list section. So let's have a look. If we scroll down, we have used everything same. We have just changed the image and this heading, and we have used the background SVG that we have exported from this particular section from UI design. If we inspect this, we can see that we have this complete section. Inside that we have a row which will hold our heading and the button. Then we have image, which is basically the background SVG. and we check the classes, it is absolute position. We have also provided the z index so that it can stay at the background, and we have provided the spacing so that it can stay in the center. After that, we have a row of product cards. So these are basic sections on our index page. Now we need to add this section into our HTML page. Now this is a little bit complex. Why? Because we have different components here to take care of, and inside this section image we have four components: the background, the main image, the foreground splash, and the text. And for the main image, we have downloaded an image and we have removed the background, and after that we have used a splash and the text. So I will export this splash. Also I will export this splash. To remove the image background, there is a cool website. The website is remove.bg. It will directly open the website for us. We can upload an image. Here I have used this image, and since you can see I have already removed the background, but once more I'll do it. I'll open it. After processing, we can see we are getting one clean image without the background. We can download it from here and we can use this. Now let me add the main section in my HTML and show you. Now I have added the main section. Let's refresh. If we scroll down, we can see that we have a nicely placed for him section. Let us inspect and see what all are the HTML classes. We have decided this into two columns. First one will be gender section image. Inside image, we have three images. As I have told you, first one we have the background splash. Next image we have this men's image where we have removed the background, and the last one will be this splash which will hold the text. After the images we have the division where we have the information about this and the anchor tag of discover more. And here we can see a perfect use of z index. For the main splash, which is the background, we can see we have provided the z index of -9999, which is the maximum in the negative. Then we have main image. For that we have used the z index of -900. For main info splash, which is this white splash, we have used the index of -890. Now we can see how we can use z index to keep one component on top of other along with absolute positioning. So that was the image section. Now we have the information section. Let me zoom out a little so it will be easy to see. Inside this information section, on the top we have the is for him. Next we have this list of buttons and also the cards. So inside this division we have categories, for which we have simply used the UL, which is unordered list. And after this list section we have our cards. So basically we have used the same card that we have already defined. With this, our men section is completed. We will use the same technique for women section. We will have background, women image, one another splash on top, and then text. And this section we will have on the right side. Let me show you. After adding women section, let's refresh and see. And here we can see we have men section, and under that we have for her section or women section. This is same as men section, but we are keeping this image division on the right side. From our UI design, we can see that we have added for him for her section. Now we need to add this deal of the day section. What I'm going to do is I will simply use one image, give the height of the image, which will be 400 pixels. Then I will use exported SVG to be placed on the top of image, and this text to be placed on the top of SVG. So again we will be using absolute positioning and the z index. Let me put the HTML and show you. After adding the HTML for offer section, let me refresh. If we scroll down, we can see that this is an image, and on top of that our information is there. So if we inspect this, so this is our section. For this division, we are giving a height of this image as a variable, and we know how variables can be helpful when we are going to design the mobile responsive view. In this division we have one image, and we have used the object fit as cover, so that whenever the height is decreasing the image will not shrink, it will take whatever the area is available to it. Then we have offer splash, which we have exported from our UI design. And after that we have this text division where I will have all the information that is written on this. And if we notice, I have used absolute positioning on the offer text and the offer splash. And inside this offer text, I just have the anchor tag and paragraph tags, and they are separated by a distance. So this is about the offer section. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to include one blog section. Let me quickly add and show it. After adding the blog section, let me refresh this. So we can see this is similar to the sections we have on top, the heading, see all button. The only change is the width is increased and these things are different. Again, let's inspect and check. If we check for this section, we can see this is the main section. Inside this we have a row for heading and button. Then we have block cards. If we check an individual block card, for the height I have used the variable which was being used for the product card, but for the width I have added one more variable which is block card width. So this is how we can add the block section, and with the addition of this section our index page is completed. So if we see from the top, we have our offer section, we have our recommended for you section along with the background, then we have from the wish list, then we have for him section, then we have for her section, then we have deal of the day or mid offer section, and at the last we have from the blog before completing the page with the footer. So this is how we can design our index page using HTML and CSS. It might be a little confusing because we did not see very much into the details, because HTML and CSS takes a lot of time and I wanted to complete it faster. But in the process we have learned a very good lesson that whenever we are going to start UI design, we should always consider the most useful screen resolution for our website, or we will have issues with our background going out of the space. So this is a good point to take away. Let me show the UI design for mobile responsive view. Here, if we check for mobile layout and we zoom on in our home page, we see that all the extra backgrounds we have removed. We are trying to keep it very simple in the mobile view. There are quite some changes, and first of the changes, we will need to download all these SVGs again, because SVGs do not change shape, they stay the same size, so we will need to download them again. Let me try to find this section or this SVG in our layers. Let me try to rename it to identify that this is a SVG for mobile view. After renaming, I will download these SVGs. First I will download the header section or basically export them. We want SVG in a UI exports. Also I will download these small ones like the offer splash. I already have them, so I will not download again, but I will tell you what all we need to export. We will export the button splash. Then coming down, we all have this in our CSS and HTML, so no worries. After that we will need to export this also, and at last we will need to export the footer background. Once we have downloaded all the SVGs that we need for our mobile view, let me give you some extra information on our mobile responsive view. So in our browser, if we search for Bootstrap breaking points, we will see that there are 4 sizes: 576 pixels, 768 pixels, 992 pixels, and 1200 pixels. These are basically sizes of different type of devices there are. For mobile phones, the resolution is up to 576 pixel, and for tablet it is 768 pixel, for laptop it is 992, and for desktop it is 1200. Keeping these in mind, now we need to learn about media queries. So if we search for CSS media queries, you might be wondering what is this. Basically our search starts from here, but there is this cool application called as Grepper which shows us the relevant code, and it can help us save a lot of time going through all the sites. So have a look at it. Using media queries means, let's say we are using maximum width of 600 pixel. So we will dictate how our website will behave until the 600 pixel width is reached. Let me show you one example. Suppose this is our website. This is in full resolution, and let's assume that the resolution is 1400. If we resize this and if we decrease the width, the resolution is also decreasing. And now we can see our icons are starting to clash with each other. At this point, let's say we have reached around 700 pixels, so our site will behave different. So basically we are deciding how our website will look on a laptop, how our website will look on a tablet, and how our website will look on a mobile phone. Let's go back. So at this point we know what are the screen resolutions for mobile, laptop, tablet, and we know how to use media queries to dictate the behavior of website under certain screen resolutions. Now let's implement that. Also, we add these media queries in our CSS file. Let me show you how. In our index.css file, we have provided some variables in root, and we said we will be using them in mobile responsive view, and now it's the time to use them. So I will paste this. This is basically a copy paste from Google. I will change the screen size to 768 pixels, which means whenever the screen is reduced to a tablet or phone, this thing will be used. So we will just copy this, paste this here, and now we will change the height and width of the cards. After changing the variables, we can see that hero image height we have decreased from 520 to 204, and we have changed other values also. Now to effectively check our screen resolution and the changes, we can inspect the page. We can change the location of this, and here we can use this, which duplicates the mobile behavior. So if we click on here, the size will decrease and we can decrease it even more, and here we can see it is responsive and the screen resolution. So let's make it below 768, anything around 500, and here we can see the size of our hero section is changed, and if we scroll down we can see the size of the cards also changed. This is just a simple change we have made. We will be required to make further more changes. I will try to show you different changes that are necessary, but basically all changes will mean to decrease the size of font, to decrease the size of this division. The process of changing classes in our media queries can be quite complicated, but let me do it, and I will try to explain what I did and how I did, and let's hope that we will get to understand it. Perhaps the best way to learn is you get started on your own, try to follow the steps. You will get errors, but you have to solve those errors, and you will get a better understanding of HTML, CSS and media queries. So let me come back after adding all the files. I have added the files, but before refreshing the browser, let me show you how the media queries will look like in our CSS files. We have our index.css, and in our base.css also I have used the media query. Based on which page you want to change, you can use the media queries on the same CSS page. Inside the media queries, we will use different classes, and inside the classes what we want to change. If we have used this class already above, and if we just want to change the font size, we will just write font size is equal to so and so, which means we only want to change the font size when we are decreasing the size of screen. This is the only logic that we need to keep in mind while designing our CSS for media queries. Now let's refresh our browser and see. The site will look something like this. Let me try to explain you what all I did. So coming from the top, first we have header section. Inside that we can see that I'm using two image tags. One will be for the desktop version and second one will be for the mobile version. Remember we downloaded the mobile version SVG from our UI design, so we are using these two. I believe this is not an efficient way, but this is the way I achieved this. So when I'm in the desktop mode, I'm hiding the mobile version. When I'm in the mobile version, I'm hiding the desktop version SVG. It took some time to make this section. I have to add one icon here, and then I have to add drop downs so that I can make something like this. But this can easily be achieved using Bootstrap and simple CSS. Let me try to show you if I can. Inside the header row, we have the extra unnecessary components. Inside header logo, there is one container. Inside container, we have a row to hold the icon and title. So inside this division, we have the original logo which we have hidden in the mobile view and the mobile navigation. This is the button to trigger the collapsible section, and inside this section we have all our navigation menus. Here they are. First we have the collapsible header which will have the title and the button to close. It is taking a while to show, but that is the content. Then we have the unordered list, which will contain all the anchor tags with the different pages. Let me see if it will come. Here you can see. After this logo section, we have the original navigation panel, which we have hidden. In the offer section, I have just replaced the SVG with the mobile version SVG, like we did with the background SVG. Then comes the recommended for you section. In this, I have just decreased the size of the font and the cards. After this section, we have from your wish list, which is the same thing. After this, we have for him section. So let me tell you what I did with this. So basically what we did with the background, that we have used one will be hidden when the desktop version is on, and next one will be hidden when the mobile version is on. So I have used these two things. I have made one division that will be for full page and one division for mobile view. Again, I believe there are much more efficient ways, but this is the way I think of. I did the same thing with the for her section. Then comes the deal of the day section. Basically, I'm decreasing the width and height of the image. I've used the same SVG that I have downloaded for the mobile UI, and I have put the text according to the new placement. Then comes the from the block section. This is the same thing, decrease the height and width of the card. Now coming to the SVG. Again, I've used two SVGs, one will be hidden in the mobile and one will be hidden in the desktop. And I have rearranged the footer like this. I understand that I have missed over a large portion of our HTML CSS part, but that is only because it took me a lot of time to complete the HTML CSS on my own, and it would take even longer to put it in a video. So I hope I was able to convey my message to you guys. And with this, I conclude that our front end is ready, or basically one page of our front end is ready. Let me show you how this website looks like in a real mobile. I will capture the screen of my mobile while browsing through this. So here it is. From the mobile view, we can see the website looks very good. At least the homepage of a website is looking good. And as we can see on the screen, the website on desktop also looks good. Although I was not able to give you the complete process of the 16 or 17 pages that we have for our website, I tried to give you the process of how to do it. I hope this was informational. With this, I conclude that we have completed the front end section of our website, and from the next section, we will focus on the website backend. We will be using Core Django to design our backend. So stay tuned for that. If you are coming on the channel for the first time, I upload videos on every Sunday regarding web development, Python, and Django. Do subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell to not miss out any videos. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Give us a thumbs up. We will meet very soon with a new video. Until then, this is Somveer taking your leave. Adios.